welcome back to Sunday Live. In studio with us, British High Commissioner Dr. Christian Turner joins us, and it's a great week. Welcome to the show. Good to have you here now.
Thank
because,
you.
Of course,
thank you, Julie. Good to be back.
Of the change in the travel advisory on Kenya. A very important thing. We were profiling the subject early on the show. 40,000 plus jobs were affected, so we're hoping to see a change. Tell us about what prompted Britain to take this response.
Well, the first thing I want to be clear about, Julie, is this is advice. It's not a ban. People use the word ban, and people sometimes think that is universal against Kenya. And as you've been very clear in your introduction, this advice related only to a very specific part of the country. It's also something we do all over the world. So we have issued advice against France after the Charlie Hebdo attacks in Paris, against Egypt, against Thailand, India, even actually against the USA after the recent Baltimore riots.
Right.
So this is the way our system works, and we do it with many other close friends like Kenya. It's nothing personal to Kenya. But
go ahead.
Well, I just want to answer your question specifically.
Yes.
Having had this advice in place, clearly we're acutely conscious of the impact of that. Now, it's relating to one thing alone, and that's the security situation. So it's not political, it's not economic, it's about the security assessment, and that is what changed and allowed us to make this lift this week.
And it's great that it's happening. We hope to see a dramatic change. There was some skepticism in our story earlier, but we hope to see a change happen quick, if possible, for the tourism industry. The fear always is, though, that when you affect a community or a town, a city so significantly, that it could entrench the radicalization and perhaps make the security problems worse. But let's go to the question of the UK-Kenya partnership on security. How is the engagement in terms of your relationship with Kenya?
Well, look, you always hear me say the relationship between our two countries is deep and it's broad. It's about a lot more than what a Balozi like me does. It relates to trade, it relates to our aid relationship, it relates to the visitors who come here, who, despite the travel advice to that bit of the coast, still by far the largest number of visitors to Kenya from any country are from the UK.
Right.
It's about our military relationship and our security relationship. Very, very deep, an awful lot of work going on together. We don't talk about it much for very good reason, but it's a really in-depth partnership. And in my position, you feel the history of that, the weight of it that comes from a long way back and is stretching a long way, I am confident, into the future.
Let's stay with security and talk about the terrorists themselves. And lots of these questions have come in, so I'm going to pose the question to you. People saying, hold on, did you raise or did you amend the advisory because one of the attackers in Lamu was a Briton?
Yeah, no, well,
how do you respond to that?
I've seen some of these questions, and I've been surprised because they're almost suggesting that somehow we have recruited this individual. Now, I should be clear, it's not yet been finally confirmed that the individual in Baure in Lamu last weekend was a Brit, but if it is confirmed, it proves exactly what we have been saying, and His Excellency the President has been saying, that this is a shared threat. And if it's a shared threat, it must be a shared response. If a young man, if it's proven, did indeed come from Buckinghamshire in the UK and travel to Somalia to fall in with this ideology, then it's a global problem, and we have to work together to address it.
Radicalization is a problem everywhere, and Europe is facing the same challenges in many ways that Africa is facing. Perhaps security-wise, it's better placed to protect itself in many ways. What can we learn from each other?
Well, I think there's several things, and the most important is that it is communities that beat terrorism. And I remember shortly after Westgate, one of our top anti-terrorism police experts came to Kenya to learn, to understand what had happened and to express solidarity. And she said exactly this: it's communities that beat terrorism. Yes, you need the hardware, you need the equipment, you need the very good intelligence, but ultimately it's in the community that needs to happen. And if we've got young girls going from Glasgow, from the Midlands in the UK to Syria, exactly what causes that and causes that radicalization, I don't think anyone, least of all us Brits, have got an easy answer. But the one thing time and again that the studies show is its local context. Working through and with the community is the best way to try and address this radicalization problem.
Really important. I'm going to repeat that. It's communities that beat terrorism. In Kenya, of course, we have Nyumba Kumi, an effort to get people together, know each other, be aware of what's going on to be safe.
And Julie, sorry if I may mention that the government is hosting a very important countering violent extremism summit just this week coming up.
Indeed.
So, you know, it's a thing on which we are all working together.
And in fact, it's great that it's here in Kenya, because I think in many ways it's a statement of a confidence or an affirmation of support for Kenya during these difficult times for the country. Let's move to poaching, which again in many ways is also a security issue, but a huge challenge we're facing. We have a partnership here as well. What's the British government doing with Kenya in terms of the fight against poaching?
So the British government held an international conference last year bringing together countries that were affected by poaching, transit countries, and the ones that are fueling some of the demand to try and find a global solution. One of the things that was talked about there was how to put ivory beyond economic use, and the President has done that in spades with the crush, the burning of the ivory earlier this year. We've got about £10 million of funding towards individual projects to tackle the problem. The important point for me is the one you started with. This isn't just about conservation. I mean, I do care about elephants, and I've experienced the joy of being up close to them, and I do think that is part of Kenya's heritage in the world, and coming back to tourism is a huge attraction, and if you lose those animals, then the visitors won't come. But in a way, more sharply, if you like, this isn't just about saving those species. This is about a criminal threat, about a security threat, and about economic damage. And organized gangs, whether they're smuggling suicide vests, guns, people, ivory, they're all the same, and we have got to tackle that cross-border crime together.
It's good to hear that we're working together in in many different ways. I know also, for instance, there's been partnerships on fighting female genital mutilation. There's a lot we could talk about. We don't have the time today. But I just would like to ask my director to stand by and share some pictures with us. It was the Queen's birthday recently, and a party was held by the High Commissioner, the High Commission, and it hosted many people. There you see former President Mwai Kibaki there with Cabinet Secretary Amina Mohammed, and also the Chief Justice Willie Mutunga. And there we have a picture of Dr. Christian Turner and former President Mwai Kibaki. And they're toasting. Oh, I see Mwai Kibaki has a glass. It looks like it has water rather than champagne. Toasting the Queen, I presume, happening there.
It was indeed.
So tell us a little bit about this event and your feelings around the Kenya-UK relation.
I mean, it's a lovely evening. We all have our national days in the year as diplomats. We bring everyone together and we celebrate all that we do. And you know, actually, I've been in Kenya now over 3 years, and my message is the same every time. That the partnership between us is deep and broad, and this year I used a metaphor of the big five, the animals that represented our relationship, and it's a delightful evening, and I was very honoured that His Excellency the former President came, and my friend Amina Mohammed, Cabinet Secretary for Foreign Affairs. But you know, in a way, the thing that was striking, and he came last year, but came again this year. There is a gentleman, Mzee Gitu wa Kahengeri,
yes,
of the Mau Mau veterans.
Yes.
Now, he has been 2 years in a row to come to that celebration. And if you think of that, if you think what that represents, that shows how far we have come together.
It does.
Yes, we have the history, yes, we have the past, and it has got its difficult chapters as well as its positive ones. But the fact that we can move together as two modern countries with mutual respect, respect for each other's sovereignty, that shows how the relationship in 2015 is very, very different, but still just as vibrant as it used to be. And of course that reconciliation with the Mau Mau, that settlement that we made in 2013, and I hope next month we'll unveil the monument to all those who suffered in the emergency period. It's those kinds of signals, and the Mzee being at events like the Queen's birthday with His Excellency, that shows just how far we've come together.
Absolutely. Gitu wa Kahengeri, Mzee Gitu has been at the forefront of fighting for an apology for the Mau Mau and for restitution as well, and 2013 was the big year for that, and to have him there to toast the Queen, as you say, is incredible. Moving slightly on to recent reports in the papers that you're outgoing. I remember the first time that I saw you. You had just come in, and we were at the Olympics in London, where you made a speech, and people said, oh, he's too young to be High Commissioner. But a very impactful and powerful speech. Are you outgoing, and what's your experience in Kenya been like?
Well, first and most importantly, I'm not quite as young as I look, Julie. So I've obviously done over 3 years here, and of course all diplomats, they move us, every country moves moves their diplomats fairly...
Oh, there we have more pictures.
No,
Sorry.
that is worrying.
Oh, there we have you.
The one thing you shouldn't do is dance for your country, and that looks like I was dancing for my country there. And I think that's me and Bob Collymore. I hope we're enjoying some Kenyan food there. We must check with the Chief Executive of Safari. Nothing had been drunk, I quite assure you.
Thank you.
But I should be very clear. Obviously, I have done over 3 years in Kenya, and the tenure has been wonderful, and I hope I will stay as long as I possibly can. But I'm approaching the end. The exact timing hasn't been confirmed, so reports that I am finished are not correct. I hope to be here for a little while longer, and once we have confirmation of the exact timing, we'll let everybody know.
Right. My cheeky director is asking if you're 28. She says you look about 28 years
12,
old.
Definitely, people say.
There we go. It is, of course, Father's Day, and in so many ways, some months ago, was it last year, we were talking about deadbeat fathers, and so often we bash the male species, but this is really a day to celebrate men who are really fathers, whether you're really a father or a father figure. What are your thoughts on fatherhood? Do you have children?
So I do have children. I have 2 children aged 9 and 10. Right. And, you know, most of us, we have multiple identities. There's things that make up who we are as people. And obviously, to many, most people know me as the British High Commissioner. But for sure, I'm a dad way before I'm the British High Commissioner. And I think the way in which your children keep you grounded, challenge you, remind you what is really important. And that relationship I have with my children, obviously my life is quite busy. I'm rushing around, but it's those small questions that keep you on your toes and really remind you that parenthood is about the most challenging, stretching, but also rewarding thing you can do in life.
Absolutely.
I had a great example yesterday. I must share this with you. We'd been at a performance of the great Nairobi Orchestra, and I was telling my daughter how I'd first heard it on a cassette that I used to have, and she said, "What's a cassette?" Now, I hope most of your viewers will remember back to what came before CDs, what came before cassettes, and even to LPs, but it's questions like that that make you laugh and keep you grounded.
And a good 80% of our audience don't know what LPs are. Follow me on Twitter and I'll tell you all about LPs. Thank you so much for joining us, and we hope to pull you back. I hope to interview on Africa Leadership Dialogues in the near future about a wider range of issues. But right now, before you leave us, we're going to NetSearch, and I'll get your take on some of the issues that do come up on NetSearch. We're looking at our top 10 Google searches in Kenya over the past week, and at number 10 it's gris.go.ke. Now, this is the Government Human Resource Information System, a web-based human resource management system by the government of Kenya to address all its human resource needs, and Kenyans visited this site in large numbers to find out more about particularly job opportunities being offered by government. Number 9. It's Game of Thrones Season 5. I'm going to admit I'm a huge Game of Thrones fanatic, and we went online to download and stream the final episode of the drama. Yes, not to be watched by all, but certainly very gripping. Do you watch Game of Thrones,
No,
Dr. Turner?
I am not a Game of Thrones. Many people have recommended it to me, but I've not got into it yet.
Okay, let's go to number 8, which is UEFA Under-21 Championship. And football fans went online to find out more about this, to watch the match between Portugal and Italy. That was of most interest. At number 7, EPL fixtures, English Premier League. Football fans went online to find out more about the fixtures, and fans all over the world are looking forward to the next season. Are you looking forward to
I am, of course, English Premier League.
Who do you support?
No, I never answer that question.
No, really?
You know, I always joke and say we're as tribal in the UK as anywhere else with all the different football
So you're not going to
teams.
risk it?
And the trouble I will get into if I say whom I support. So the secret is safe with me.
Okay, at number 6, Ramadan Kareem. The holy month of Ramadan is the 9th month of the Islamic calendar, when the Quran was revealed to the Prophet Muhammad. Ramadan is observed by Muslims worldwide, and Kenyans went online to find out more about the holy month, as well as seek out inspiring Ramadan messages. The holy month began at midnight on Wednesday, 17th June. At number 5, it is Father's Day today, and this was searched online by many Kenyans who were looking for inspiring Father's Day messages. At number 4, AFCON, the Africa Cup of Nations, was a trending search topic, and football fans took to Google to find out more about fixtures and results. At number 3, Jackie Chan dead. Hollywood actor Jackie Chan was a trending search topic after rumors that he was dead started on Twitter and Facebook, with many posting condolences. He took to his official Facebook page to prove that he is still alive and, excuse the pun, he's still kicking as well. I had to do it. At number 2, it's itax.kra.go.ke. This week, Kenyans visited the Kenya Revenue Authority website to use the iTax system as they continue to file their tax returns. KRA is going to be delighted to hear this. Yes, Kenyans are paying tax, and they're going online to do it. At number 1, interesting one, Magna Carta. Yes. It's a charter agreed to by King John of England as a way of making peace between the king and a group of rebel barons on 15th June 1215. Yes, 1215. To this day, the charter is held up as the foundation of the constitutional and legal framework of the United Kingdom. Google honored the 800th anniversary with a doodle. Your thoughts on the Magna Carta?
Well, I'm thrilled. I did not expect to see the Magna Carta at number 1, 800 years on. And of course, the great thing about the Magna Carta is we've never really written our constitution down.
There is no constitution.
There is no constitution. Yes. We sort of make it up as we go along, and we have founding documents like the Magna Carta. And actually, at the Queen's birthday on Thursday night, the Chief Justice Willie Mutunga presented me with a signed copy of Kenya's constitution, and said rather pointedly, if you want to learn anything from this, Balozi, here's ours. Here's ours. Exactly.
Learn a thing or two.
So it's amazing how it still resonates. It had some fairly crazy elements in. There was a rule about making sure that fish were free to swim down the River Thames. So some of them have been slightly lost, but actually that core principle of rule of law, everyone being accountable, even the king being accountable, actually that's been the backbone and is just as relevant in the Kenyan constitution today, one of the most progressive in the world, as it was 800 years ago in Runnymede in Surrey.
And in many ways we took a lot from the English system of justice, and so even very relevant to us, even though we do have a constitution today. Thank you so much for joining us on Sunday Live. We're taking a break now. Don't go away. Sunday Live comes back with much more. I'll see you in a bit.